Well, let's hear from a man that knows a thing or two about penalty shootouts, John Aloisi. In 2005, he scored the winning goal in a penalty shootout against Uruguay to send the Socceroos to their first World Cup in 32 years. He's now head football coach at Western United Football Club, and I'm very happy to say he joins me live now. Did you get a few flashbacks this morning, John?
Yeah, just a few. It was a bit nerve-wracking though. When you're not playing and you're not involved, it can be a bit. You can get a bit nervous. But it was such an unbelievable effort from the boys. They did so well this morning. They were the better team over virtually the 90 minutes and also the first half of extra time. The second half extra time, they had their chance, Peru, but overall we deserved to win. We did it the hard way, but, we dug in. It's been a long campaign. They deserve all the credit because everyone was writing them off. No one believed that Australia could get there again. Peru, they thought they were going to get there. I think they underestimated how good the Australians were and are, and it's a credit to the boys and to Graham Arnold, who made a big change. This sub here, bringing Matty Ryan off with 1 minute to go and Andrew Redmayne on, it was a big call. It was a call that, a manager has to make sometimes, but it could have gone the other way and we could have lost. But he was the hero in the end, Redmayne, and deserved all the credit.
What do you make of that call? Of course, it obviously paid off, and it does sound like from the players and Graham Arnold this morning that it was premeditated, it was pre-planned.
Yeah, it would have been pre-planned. There would have been discussions about it. That's why they said Redmayne was selected into the side, because just in case it did go to penalty shootout. And also, they would have practiced penalties during the week, also last week before they played UAE. And he would have been one of those players, because he's a big stature in goals, he fills up the goal pretty well. And I know he's got his antics there with his wiggle dance, maybe to put off the opposition, but it did. And he's also won it for Sydney FC a few years back against Perth Glory in a penalty shootout. So he's known to do it, and that's why Arnie made that decision. Never nice for a goalkeeper to come off before a penalty shootout with Matt Ryan, our captain. But Matt Ryan played a massive part to get us this far anyway, and it was a group effort, and they deserve all the success, and now they can celebrate and prepare for 4 months' time.
Tell me about the wiggle dance. How distracting is it when you're trying to score a goal? What would you have done if someone did that to you?
I would have tried to score and then give it to him, because it can put you off. Look, it's a big situation. It's a pressure moment. And when you see a goalkeeper doing that, it can put certain players off. I'm not saying it did, but it can be one of those moments that, the player's already nervous, and then he sees a goalkeeper dancing around the goal, such a big frame that you think, well, his long limbs, he could save anything here. To be fair to Peru, they did take some good penalties, and it was only that last one that Redmayne got a hand to, the one that hit the post, he was close to. But also, on the flip side, our boys held their nerve. They really took their penalties well. Craig Goodwin only came on with a minute to go, and his penalty was unsavable. Jane McLaren, who came on, didn't really touch the ball during the extra time. He scored his penalty. Awan Mabil also came on and scored his penalty. Aaron Moy, who was superb throughout, took his penalty well. So it was great to see our boys hold their nerve in a pressure situation.
When you're talking about the psychology game here, we talk about how distracting Andrew Redmayne might be and how that could play with players' heads, but it also happens on the flip side as well. I thought one of the more impressive goals was that wrong footer.
Yeah, and that can play on the flip side as well, because look, Awan Mabil as well, he was put in a bit of a pressure situation when the goalkeeper took his time, with the penalty, and he had to stand there for a good minute or so. And he's only a young player, so for someone to be able to step up in those situations, pressure situations, it's not easy. And on the flip side with Andrew Redmayne, sometimes when you're dancing around the goals, you can't get set to jump off of that leg. So it can work both ways, but it worked in our favour this morning.
Yeah, it certainly did, and we love that. Graham Arnold, I mean, there's been a lot of criticism of him outside of the team, but we've heard from the players, we've heard from Andrew Redmayne this morning. They all seem to love him. What do you think from the outside looking in?
everyone loves a coach when they win. So, look, it's coaching. You're always going to have criticism. You're always going to have people doubting. You're always going to have people. It's always good, in hindsight, that he should have done this, he should have done that. It's been a difficult campaign. It hasn't been easy. We haven't qualified easy in the past 2 or 3 campaigns. So we know that going through Asia is not easy. We haven't got the depth of the squad that we had years ago, but we've got some good young players coming through, and Arnie deserves credit because that people were writing him off. They didn't believe we could even beat the UAE, and in this short period he got the players believing again, because just before this the players weren't believing. We didn't see it in them, but these last 2 games they got that belief back. They got that Australian spirit back in saying that we can take on anyone in this world. And we did that with a top South American side. And then, again, I say we were the better side this morning against Peru.
Well, a fan behind the penalty shootout was holding up a John Aloisi jersey from 2005 with the number 15 on it. We're showing it right on screen now. So perhaps that was a good omen, John.
Yeah, well, I hope I played my part then. Maybe it put the player off that missed the penalty. I'm not sure if it was a good omen or not. Now that we won, we can say it's a good omen. But,
absolutely.
It's quite funny to see that jersey in the background.
Well, your moment was the greatest moment in Socceroos history. Do you think today might supersede that? Are you happy to hand that over?
I'm happy to hand it over. As long as we get to the World Cup. That's 5 consecutive World Cups now that we qualify for. That's some feat. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the World Cup now. It's exciting. It's exciting for the Socceroos, exciting for football in this country, because we also have the Women's World Cup in 2023. It's a good time to be part of the game, and I'm just so happy we qualified, because I would have been a pretty upset man this morning if we didn't.
Well, when this happened back in 2005, Jimmy Callanan tells me that he was doing Vox Pops on the Central Coast and parents were naming their children after you. We could have a few Andrew Redmaynes running around after this.
You could, and maybe with those beards on there, like a Redders. He's got some beard, hasn't he? Yeah. Look, that's what sport does. Moments last with people forever, and that's why it's so important. This moment here will end up, you bringing more people to the game and playing the game. You see in Fed Square the excitement on the faces. It can unite a nation. We all know that football is a world game. It unites everyone, and the excitement on these fans, and there might be a couple of Andrew Redmaynes running around in 15, 20 years' time for the national team.
Let's hope so. John, before I let you go, you did mention the women's team as well and the Women's World Cup. I think women's soccer has come so far, very much thanks to Sam Kerr and the amazing team around her. As we head into this World Cup, and we see the success of the women's team, I feel like soccer in this country, let's call it football, has really just gone up a notch.
Yeah, it has, especially the women's game. And look, the amount of young girls playing now is, it's the number 1 play sport in Australia. The young girls that are playing and coming through are exceptional players. And Sam Kerr is the face of it. And the Matildas, they're one of everyone's favourite team to follow, a national team to follow in Australia. And the World Cup's coming up. It's a big World Cup for us. The rest of Australia will see what football means for the rest of the world. And also, we've got a chance of winning. We've got one of the best players in the world. We've got a good group of players, and we just keep on growing as a sport. And it's a good time to be part of football in this country.
Absolutely. We are the good news movement this morning, and the Socceroos leading our bulletin today for very good reason. John, a pleasure to talk to you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on, Laura.